So I'm assuming you get a lot of children that are on the spectrum. And I'm wondering if you see any correlation between sleep and what here in OT we're learning about like high arousal kids and low arousal. And if children who tend to not get enough sleep are actually more high arousal, high anxiety, more self-stimulatory behaviors, repetitive, obviously aggressive behaviors was one of the things that you listed. But we see that a lot. These very high arousal kids that are often mouth breathers, have that open mouth posture, breathing through the mouth, have chronic sinus issues, ear infections, swollen adenoids, can't focus, eyes are darting all over the place. So, I'm wondering in your practice if you're seeing this a lot.
So I definitely see the combination, but I'm not able to comment on, I cannot make connections. I haven't had enough families with intention report to me how their child is really sleeping, or how an adult patient or even an adolescent patient is really sleeping. And so do I see all of that? The darting eyes, the, people reporting everything is just like, it's like just a ball of dysregulation. Oh yes, I see that every day. And if not every day, I see it 3 times a week. But have I had enough instances where I could say, well, from a clinical perspective, I can cleanly make that correlation? Absolutely not. And that's part of my call in saying, like, this is a crisis.
So to piggyback off of Liz, as an occupational therapist, we see a lot of children with sensory processing disorder and go to the occupational therapist, we need a sensory diet. I feel that we could give them a sensory diet where it's helping them integrate tactile vestibular proprioception, and it could be a great sensory diet where they're getting a big sensory calming protocol. But if they're not sleeping, I feel like that input that they're getting is only going to be for that moment. So, and
You've
I think
answered your own question.
So I guess just to speak from the frustration, because I've been talking to some of the therapists here that get those type of children, and as working with that type of children, you could only do so much if we don't dig deeper and refer to an ENT. It's frustrating because we're here and the parents want almost like a Band-Aid, and a quick fix, especially working in a school setting. They just need a movement break, or they're falling asleep, so have the para take them to do wall push-ups and bear walk, and but is that really making a central nervous system change without addressing the sleep and breathing and airway function? What
I'll often say to a family, and it is more common for me to use this when I have to have the big medication talk with the family, right? So I'm not like pro-medication like the Monopoly guy with money, but there are certain cases where an individual requires medication, whether that be stimulant medication or anxiety medication or whatever the case may be. I think we can all agree that there are times a medication's required, right? And so what I will say to a family is something like, if you just ran the New York City Marathon and I handed you a granola bar, what's going to happen? You're going to be hungry, right? We might take the edge off, right? But in just a few minutes, you're going to be hungry. If you came to me at my 9-to-5 job and you said, hey, do you have that giant bottle of Excedrin that you keep in your right desk drawer? And I said, I do. And then I took out a steak knife and I gave you a 1/16 of a tablet, you're going to want to punch me in the teeth, right? Because you're just going to walk away from me with that banging headache. And so we can do all sorts of things for all sorts of issues. But if we're not doing enough, or if we're giving crutches to somebody who needs eyeglasses, or we need something like sleep or air or healthy food or oxygen or medication or whatever the case may be, all the other intervention is fluff. Mm-hmm. It's not a bad thing, but it's never going to make these great gains. Or maybe I think of things from a statistical perspective, so maybe it will, but in 99.99999% of the cases, we're just going to scratch the surface.